My name's Nicola Naisbitt and I am the course leader for Media Studies.
And I am Becky Vickers, course leader for Creative Media Practice.
So what we're going to do is just start by giving you a brief introduction to both of the courses and to outline some of the differences. And then if you've got any questions at all, feel free to type them in and we will answer them as we go through.
I think one of the first things that we have to kind of highlight for the differences between Media Studies and Creative Media Practice is that Creative Media Practice, it's a BTEC National Diploma, but most importantly is it's 100% coursework. So we don't have an exam over the 2 years at all while you're studying doing the BTEC National Diploma.
So Media Studies is more of a traditional A-level, so it's linear, which means that you will sit your exams at the end of your 2 years. So 70% of the course is made up by external exam and you have 2 exam papers, and 30% is coursework, which we start at the end of year 1 and complete at the beginning of year 2.
It's worth saying as well that the courses are so different in terms of content, and we'll come back to that throughout the presentation, that you can take the 2 together.
Yes, you can.
Because they're so very different and the universities accept that they're so very different. So you can do them both together if you want to. The entry requirements for the course are exactly the same as each other as well. So for both courses, we require a grade 4 at GCSE English or English Language or Literature. And if you have studied GCSE Media Studies, again, we would expect that you received a grade 4, but you do not need to have studied media before to study media here at QE.
So quite often we get asked, where could an A-level in Media Studies or a BTEC in Creative Media Practice lead? And basically there is so much choice, so many opportunities of things that you could do. A lot of students can go on to university and they can either study a creative degree, a practical or a theoretical degree. We have students who go off and do apprenticeships within the media industry or internships in big media companies. And also we do have some students who leave after their A-levels and go straight into employment. And it is worth knowing that we've had a lot of past students who have been hugely successful. A lot of our students do, however, go on to university and have taken courses in an array of different media areas, such as animation, TV production, radio production, journalism, cultural studies, film studies, but even outside of the media area, so things like criminology, sociology, psychology, English, teaching.
Yeah,
a lot of teachers, don't we, as well?
The courses are so vast in what we cover that if you want to go on and do media and film, then that's brilliant, and you can do it. Like Nick says, it doesn't have to, because you learn so many different skills in various elements. And of course, in some we might focus on some elements of media more so than the other subjects. So for example, in Creative Media Practice, we do have kind of a strong outlook, if you like, on journalism and advertising, some moving image as well. Whereas in Media Studies, they might kind of have a more direct look at certain elements of coursework also.
Yeah, so the coursework in Media Studies is more print-based and web-based, but I will talk you through that when we get to it. Both courses are, despite one being an A-level and one being a BTEC, they're both worth exactly the same if you were wanting to go off to university. Media Studies is graded traditionally from A star down to grade E, and the UCAS tariff points are displayed on screen there for you to see.
And you can see Creative Media Practice, the BTEC, it's a foundation diploma. So the grades that you can see are kind of the equivalent to 1.5 A-levels, but it's still done within a 1 A-level block, if you like. Because the nature of it is coursework, it's the size of the projects that you would do within the course that makes it the difference there.
Trips, the fun bit.
Yes. We tend to work together on these in terms of the students that these are open to. So we have trips for both Media Studies, Creative Media Practice, and we also open up to film study students as well. And we tend to do as many as we possibly can, and cover a variation of different skills within them as well. Because of course there is some differences, but there are some overlaps as well. So if you do study Media Studies or Creative Media at QE, you'll have the opportunity to go on 2 big trips that we like to organise. London we have done for quite a while. And new for this year, last year was New York, which we can talk about kind of more in a second. But as well as that, we've also got the days that you can see on screen. So we've had Sky Sports Study Days in the past. We work with local universities, fashion design and promotion workshops, virtual reality workshops, Teesside Uni and Sunderland Uni. We have links with them as well. And they can do a bespoke media study day, which basically means that if we ask them to do something in particular, then they can do that for us also. And we've both had great experiences in our own subjects of that.
And we're always looking at adding new trips just to kind of get you some experience and some hands-on skills and engaging with employers beyond kind of the A-level specifications. The London trip, like Becky said, we've run this for years and it's hugely successful. Now, packages do kind of vary year on year, but broadly speaking, we've done kind of the same things, haven't we? So it's a 2-day package. We stay overnight. We do the Warner Brothers studio tour, which is the Harry Potter studios, which is absolutely fantastic, especially near Christmas time when we tend to go, isn't it?
Last week of term we usually go, which is lovely because all the Christmas decorations are out. So it's great. We
do a West End theatre show. We have a meal at Planet Hollywood. And we also have, for the last couple of years, done an animation workshop with Chocolate Films. And they've taught our students how to animate, and students have ended up creating their own animations, which has been fantastic.
And we've been really great for the theatre shows. We get quite a choice, don't we, of which ones we're going to do. And in the past, we've seen Wicked, School of Rock,
Mamma Mia.
Yeah. So, and we try and have them relatively relevant to media and film studies as well. So we tend to do any kind of adaptations if we can. Probably our favourite trip of last year was to New York. And this was new for us, wasn't it? But it was immense. It was really good, and we both loved it, as did the students that we took. And again, that was open to 3 courses. So it was a 5-day package. Flights to and from Heathrow, so we got transfers down to Heathrow, but things that we did, so visit to Empire State Building. We also saw a Broadway show, and we saw Mean Girls, which was really good, really good. Visit Statue of Liberty. The Paley Media Centre was brilliant, and I think it far exceeded our expectations of kind of what was available to us when we were there. Tour of NBC Studios, and again the Museum of Moving Image was probably one of my favourite things.
Yeah, it
had a Jim Henson Muppet kind of show, which was really good. And I think all the students got far more out of this trip than we even imagined. Accommodation was great. We were bang in the centre. We were right opposite
Madison Square Garden.
Thank you.
Yeah, Madison Square Garden.
So we were, right in the thick of it. And I think the cost for that trip was $900.
Yeah, it was round about then,
So, and not overly expensive really when you compare it if you're kind of booked to go separately. So we try and make these trips as affordable as we can for all of our students as well. But in the same instance, try and get as much jam-packed into those 5 days as we possibly can as well.
So what we'll do is we'll just talk you through the courses in terms of their content now. And then if you've got any questions at all, please just send them in and we'll get them answered.
So I'll start for creative media practice. I have kind of written a link on here, and it's got the site on, which we might kind of go through at the end of the talk. If anyone's got any questions, I might have some answers on there. But there's me. This is me in New York. Like I mentioned, I'm a big Muppets fan, and that's me with Miss Piggy at the Museum of Moving Image. And then Vicky, my colleague, is on there as well, and that's her in New York also. So at the minute, there's 2 of us on the course, and I would, you'll meet us hopefully if you were to do our course come September. So as I've already said, creative media practice, there's no exams, and that it's really good for some students. If you kind of aren't any good at exams or you get quite stressed at exams, then this could be the course for you. The beauty of it being coursework is we constantly mark and see where you're at. So we would mark a piece of work, and if it's currently at merit level and it wants to be distinction, you can keep going back to it. We will give you advice on how to improve it to know where you want to be, and we can keep doing that till you get the grade that you would really like. Also, like it says on the screen, it suits all learning styles. So whether you like to kind of plan your time, it could be the course for you. In terms of the content of it, there is an emphasis on skills development. Just go back next, please.
Sorry.
So we do quite a lot of research skills, and it's all about, we'll tend to do lots of mini projects or larger projects as well, but you tend to research them, but you'll work individually, you'll work in teams. So these skills are going to build up and build up. We edit, so we kind of use the Adobe Photoshop and Adobe InDesign to do some image manipulation. We do photography, we do moving image, we do camera work, both moving image and photography, image manipulation, advertising, magazines, and filmmaking I mentioned previously, and that's kind of what we focus on. But it is very hands-on, and we like to work with real-life briefs. So we would get real companies in to give you a brief to create an advertising campaign, for example. So in the past, we've had Show Racism the Red Card come in, Darlington Police, charities such as Contact the Elderly. So various, Copperfield was a new one for this year, so breast cancer awareness. And you guys would research, plan and produce an advertising campaign consisting of a print advert that you would make and you would edit, and a TV advert as well. And like I say, we try to have those for real life clients. So it does kind of resemble professional practice, you know, in terms of where you would be afterwards. Have we already done that one?
Yeah, we've covered that for both, really.
Yeah, so where we would lead, the same kind of place. So in terms of qualifications, BTEC National Diploma I've mentioned. Like I say, it's set up of 2 units, one in the first year, one in the second year. But like I mentioned, the skills development unit will consist of lots of little tasks or lots of kind of smaller projects. And we'll do that all through the first year. So in the first year, you will really develop your skills in all of the ones I mentioned: photography, filmmaking, editing, etc. And in the second year, you will then do one large individual project. And that could be a magazine, for example. But rather than just doing a front cover, you would produce a magazine front cover, a contents page, a double page spread, and a back cover. So you're kind of choosing a skill that you are interested in and that you're good at, and then making a bigger project on that particular skill. So this course really does play to your strengths. And if you start moving image but you're not particularly keen on it, that's fine. Focus on print, and vice versa. So again, it's another beauty of the course where there's a lot of freedom and you get to choose kind of where you specialize, if you like. So like I mentioned, unit 1 or year 1, if you like, is skills development, and I've mentioned kind of things that we do here. And then module 2, which you'll do in the second year, is developing those skills for a larger creative project. Lots of self-direction, lots of independent study. If you guys can contact your own company, if you like, to create a brief. So again, we do try to resemble professional practice and employability as much as we possibly can within this course.
So media studies then, it is your traditional A-level. It's linear, which means you'll study for 2 years and you will be assessed at the end of those 2 years. So I teach on it. I'm the course leader, and Jodie also teaches on it, as well as teaching criminology, and she does some progress tutoring as well. I'll skip through where it might lead because we've kind of talked about that at the start. Theory is an integral part of this course. So this is one of the things that sets it apart from the creative media practice. So you will have to apply theoretical ideas and arguments to set media texts. And we look at things like media language. So we'll look at semiotic analysis, narratology, genre, structuralism, postmodernism. We also look at theories of representation. So we start exploring stereotypes and how they're used in the media, issues of identity theory, feminism, gender, ethnicity, post-colonialism. We also look at some industry theories, and we look at issues of power in the media and who owns the media and what impact that might have. We look at issues of regulation, and especially the difference between trying to regulate maybe print and film and television in comparison to online content. And we look at audiences, and we look at kind of the much debated issue about media effects and to what extent the media influences audiences. We look at how the media is argued to cultivate our behaviour. And we also look at fandom, a real grown phenomenon since, we're in this kind of online age. And because of the rise of the internet, we look at the concept of end of audience. So the idea of the traditional audience actually kind of no longer existing. And we're living in a realm of what we call the prosumer. So where audiences can produce their own media, but they can also consume it at the same time. And a really good example of that would be a YouTuber. So paper 1 is media messages, and in this there are 2 parts. So section A is your in-depth study of news, and you are required to apply theory to this. And we look at the difference between broadsheet news and tabloid news, and we also look at issues of how the news is constructed and how different newspaper publications might represent different issues differently. We look at the difference between online news and kind of news that we access on social media in comparison to that which makes it into the print editions. We also look at media language and representation, which is where we analyse advertisements, we analyse alternative magazines, currently the big issue, and we look at music videos, and we look at how they communicate messages about different social groups, how they might offer us commentaries on racism or feminism, for instance, and we'll get you to think about how the audience are positioned to interpret them. Paper 2, Evolving Media, we look at an in-depth study of long-form TV drama, and this is a huge favourite of a lot of the students because we look at Stranger Things and Deutschland 83, and we look at how the television industry's changed and how audiences have changed. So how we've moved from traditional television viewing to kind of Netflix binge watching, which is what I do. And we also look at, again, at how the television dramas in question are offering commentary on social and cultural issues. The other section is the media industry, and we look at the film industry, the gaming industry, and the radio industry, and we look at how media products are made. We look at how they're distributed to audiences and how audiences and technology have influenced those industries and how they've transformed. The final section for media studies is your coursework unit, and you will do a cross-media production. So you'll make the cover and contents page of the first 2 editions of a new magazine and the home page and 1 linked page of the magazine's website. Now, this brief changes every year set by the exam board. Currently, we've had fashion, entertainment, and the students that we've got currently in year 13 are doing current affairs. So that gives you kind of an overview of both of the courses, and we are starting to get some questions in now. So we've got a question in.
If I'm predicted to get grade 3s, will creative media be good for me? My gut there would say it would probably be better suited than media studies.
Yes.
However, to come to QE, we do require you to have grade 4 in English, well, in 5 subjects, but we can support you with that. So it might well be that you need to resit your English when you come to QE. I wouldn't worry about your grades just yet. I kind of wait till results day and then come. But in terms of kind of my gut feeling, would say that creative media practice would probably be better suited because of the amount of theory and analytical skill needed for media studies.
And you've still got time. You've got time to improve those predicted grades. It's only October, so my advice would be really try and stick in, work really hard so that you can get the college's minimum entry requirements. But yeah, if you think that you might just get the entry requirements, then we would probably say you may be better suited to the creative media practice, because there's probably less emphasis on extended writing in there, and you kind of completing coursework as you go.
That's the only question we can see, although a pop-up did come up, Rob, our IT guy, on my phone, and I can't access it without taking the camera off. So I don't know whether it's worth having another question if there were any more, because that one question did come up on our screen.
A lot of other questions that we genuinely, we quite often do get asked is, what does the subject go well with? We quite get asked that quite a lot. So if you're sitting wondering, you know, oh, what would I do alongside media? There's so much, you know. We get we get a lot of students who do art-based subjects. We get a lot of students who take English, criminology, psychology, sociology. I think the beauty with media is that you develop such a bank of transferable skills, don't you? You know, you develop your extended writing skills, your critical thinking skills, your analytical writing. You also develop your IT skills and your creative skills. That it kind of sits really nicely with a lot of different subjects.
I think in short, there's not a right answer.
Yeah,
is there?
There's no kind of right or wrong. I mean, all we would say is obviously if you want to be a doctor or a vet, then obviously media isn't the course for you, because you know you have to kind of choose those A levels very carefully. But if you're unsure of what you want to go into, you know, then media studies can sit well with any portfolio of subjects.
Yeah, like you say, we have some that do kind of media, films and Englishes. Then we have some that do media, graphics and photography. Then we have some that do kind of media, if you like, as a third subject, and they do kind of geography and sciences, and then want kind of a little bit of like relief possibly and do it that way. Some have studied it before, some haven't, which we've mentioned already. It does not matter. We kind of take you back to the very basics of media, especially because some people get worried about the coursework element of it and using Photoshop and InDesign, but we start from the very, very beginning. Of each of those.
So there's another question coming saying, is creative media a full-time course, and what type of job would it lead to? So do you want to answer that one, Becky?
Yeah, so in terms of, it's not a full-time course, so it'll be one of the 3 subjects that you do here. So it's classed as just another A-level subject, and when you come to QE, you would choose 3 subjects in full, and it would go alongside one of those. In terms of where it leads to, Nick and I have already kind of mentioned that, but if you want to go into university, it can lead on to a university degree alongside your other A levels that you would study here at QE. If university isn't for you, then employment. Again, because of all the different skills that we do, the research, the practical elements, working to real life briefs, teamwork, communication, all of those skills we incorporate over the 2 years are going to help you regardless of what you go on to do, really. So the list potentially could be endless for you, but employment or apprenticeships tend to be quite popular nowadays, don't they?
Yeah.
And because university might not be for you, which is totally fine.
How many lessons a week would it be? So there's a question coming. How many lessons a week? So both subjects, you will get 4 lessons a week, and you would have 5 hours of contact time with a teacher, which is really good actually, because some colleges don't actually have as much contact time. We do 5 a week over 4 lessons. So you have 2 90-minute lessons and 2 60-minute lessons a week. And again, we do a variety of different teaching methods and delivery, activity-based lessons, so that there's quite a variety of ways in which you can learn. There's usually something that appeals to everybody.
I think of some more questions that we get.
What other stuff do we get asked? We get asked loads of things, don't we, all the time? Quite often we get asked about work experience. So we are very, very lucky that we have some fantastic ex-students who come and speak to our students all of the time. We have got Katrina, who is the employability champion for media studies. Currently, she's out in Bali working, and she's actually going to be doing a live Zoom with our students in a couple of weeks. She works in social media management. So we do get ex-students back in.
We try and get them back in, don't we? We've got Mark Roberts, who did the practical media course, and he is now was a 3rd assistant director for Peaky Blinders.
Yeah.
So he's kind of sent us lots of photos of him kind of at work with everybody that you'd want to be with, doing really well. Another ex-student, Tommy, is a producer for Gogglebox, and he's come in a few times and kind of talked through and, you know, showed us the day-to-day life of a producer for Gogglebox and told us a few stories. He also worked on Celebrity Gogglebox, which was quite interesting to hear about. But we do send students as well. We've got some brilliant links with Sunderland University, who have their media hub, and they have a live radio station that they broadcast out across Tyne and Wear, and they have fashion journalism there as well, don't they, and TV studios, and we send students there as well to go and do a couple
couple of days work experience, and all of our students who've been there have had an absolutely fantastic experience and have actually had work published, or have had a go at kind of producing segments on live radio broadcasts. So we do try and get you in there. We've had other opportunities where we've had companies approach us. The DBS, so the Disclosure and Barring Service, came in and asked a group of students to design them some print materials, and our students did that, and they're now used by the service. So we do try to work with as many different media companies as we can, and not just media companies, local businesses, to try to get you relevant work experience.
Someone's asked about the trips, the London and New York trip, and to whether they'll be going ahead. I think the answer to that is
no for this year.
Yeah, no for this year, due to COVID, obviously. But we would try, and we need to make sure that everyone is safe, and that's take priority. But as and when we are given the go ahead, and it will happen again one day.
Yeah, it will. There's light at the end of the tunnel.
But we just don't know when.
Yeah. But you're going to be here for 2 years, and you're not going to be starting until September 2021.
Yeah.
So within those 2 years, we would hope that we would be getting the London and New York trip up and running again. Definitely.
We want them.
Yeah.
So we hope so.
Is there any more questions that anybody would like to ask us about studying either of the courses? What we would say is, if you take a look on the college website, have a look at our the subject website.
Yeah,
and we've got some
sites.
We've got some sites there as well.
So we've got media studies. I think you can see my screen. No, you can't. I don't think.
No, it hasn't been shared.
So
if you go onto the college website and you go into on the open evening tab, and then if you click into courses, you'll see media studies and creative media practice, and on there are some videos that Becky and I have done that talk you through the content. There is some interviews with students on there, and if you have a look at our subject websites, there are some taster lessons, there's some examples of student courseworks, there's some little sound bites by students, and kind of some alumni where some of our ex-students are. And obviously, if you have any other questions, then please make sure that you ask us. We have got a question coming in: is work experience something you have to do? It isn't a requirement of the course, of the media studies course, but we do recommend that you get your work experience, because it's a really good thing to do. You develop an excellent set of employability skills, and it just it makes you more employable. It makes it more desirable for you.
We have a lot of students as well that kind of do things off their own back, if you like, and they've got their own YouTube channels or they're bloggers or any of that. It kind of comes under that work experience remit, and it will make you stand out in the future. To have anything kind of under your belt that makes you stand out a little bit from the person next to you, we're all for it, aren't we?
Yeah, definitely. So if there's no more questions,
I think it was, we had a half-hour slot, and I think we filled it.
Yeah.
I never had any questions before. Right, it keeps coming up. I don't know why it's not on there.
So if people don't have any further questions, but you think of something later and you think, oh God, I wish I'd asked that, then I will put on screen mine and Becky's email again. And then if you drop us an email or send an email into the college, then we'll get back in touch with you with the relevant information. And if we can't answer your question, we will be sure to direct you to somebody who can. So thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
Tonight.
I hope to see you in September.